Okay, welcome back everyone to Life is Good with Tuda. Let's continue our discussion with our guest. So last thing we're going to talk about today is, I'm going to throw a question at you. Do you prefer to be liked or respected professionally or personally?
What's the
Generally,
choice? What's the choice?
So I think this came
sounds
about.
like a lot of choices.
Yeah. So do I want to be liked or respected? So from a professional standpoint, I want you to respect me and respect what I'm doing versus liking me. I think sometimes we get caught up in wanting people to like us, that we don't stand firm and set good boundaries with people. So I think it came about, and you and I kind of talked about some of this, me moving into my new position and understanding what it means to be liked versus respected. And I think for so long I wanted to be liked, but I've kind of shifted to making sure that I'm respected, because if you respect me and my boundaries and my expectation, then hopefully you'll like me too, because then I'm consistent and I'm...
Yes. And so for me, it's difficult. It's probably, I'm going to give you the lawyer. The lawyer in me wants to say it depends.
It depends on the... So, yeah.
Because for me, I find myself wanting to say, I'm at the stage in my career where I'd rather you like me
Then respect you?
Yeah. And the reason...
Give me an example, just generally.
I think my work speaks for itself. And I think when you get to a professional point where your work product is what it is, then you have to rest on that. You can't, there's nothing else you can do there. Right. And so for me, it's like, and it's almost, it comes with a bit of arrogance, but it's almost like you ain't got no choice but to respect.
So it's a given.
So
you're
work
saying
that
it's
I bring
given.
to the table.
It's given then.
Right, because I'm
Respect
here. I'm
is
qualified.
given.
I'm qualified. I'm here because I'm qualified. Is my position.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
And so for me, working and managing personalities, as you may know, is a huge task when you're working with people. And so for me, I'd rather you like me because I can get a lot. If you like me, I can get a lot out of you. Whether you respect the way I which I do it or not. The likability approach, because there's people who don't necessarily respect my work, but they don't have a choice, as you know. I'm a prime example here.
Right.
I'm able to navigate that space because he likes me. Right. So I take that with a grain of salt.
No. So I know, and sometimes you guys don't know this, but I vent to Hector sometimes, because then he kind of helps me see the other side, because sometimes I could be a little bit like, I think when you're approaching it from a woman's perspective, you don't see the other side. And sometimes I have to understand, am I missing something? And he's like, no, this is probably what it meant.
See, and for you, the problem is different, because for you have to impose your will a bit, because the people like you. You're very likable. The likability is not an issue. You know what I mean? The approachability, the likability is not the issue.
That could be a bad thing sometimes.
It can be, which is why. And so for you have to almost, and for me, I don't even know if it's force people to it's not so much respect your work product, but for you, it's just, you have
hear me, maybe.
Yeah, you have to.
I think it's to force people to truly hear me.
That's interesting. I wonder how that is for women in the workplace, because I'm auto set to be like, well, I'm real. Just I don't know if it's a little bit of arrogance. I don't know what you call it, but it's just like
confidence. I think confident. I think you have to have a certain. I was listening to some of Deion Sanders' podcast, Motivation, and he was talking about some of it. You have to have that swag in order for you not to be, I guess, affected by other people and their, I guess, opinions toward you as a male, especially as a black male. And so for me as a woman, a black woman, and like you said, maybe most of it is I'm so easygoing when it comes to a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Well, see, and I think for you, I'm thinking about this question through your lens, honestly.
Yes.
And for me, I'm thinking like, what I don't want is typical angry black woman, which can bold respect, right? It can, it invokes respect, but it doesn't mean that people like you.
This
and
is
so
true.
the balance. That's why I always say it depends, and I think there has to be a balance in the middle, because a lot of women who are at the top are seen as being stern or unapproachable for whatever reason. And I think that's just because of the male-dominated environments or whatever the case may be. But so for me, I'm always sensitive to, I don't know,
from that lens. I think
especially as a black woman.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, you don't want to be angry black woman because there's a lot of angry black women at the top, quote unquote. I'm not saying it to be true. I'm just saying the optics, right? Yeah. That's the picture they try to paint for any woman who tries to be extra firm. But my point is, I don't think you always have to be that way. But it
to get
something
to
be accomplished, especially to see to what you said. I think it's a difference. It's like sometimes
it's like pick your poison.
Yeah, that whole Michelle Obama. When they go high, you go. When they go low, we go high. But I think it depends on where you are.
And
right?
What's
because
the
if
issue?
you way up top, you way up top, you don't have time to be going low.
Because then you'll be down there a long time and a lot, and then you.
But if you're already down there, that's a different story.
I get it. No. I think perspective is definitely the way to look at it. And you've helped me a lot through the transition in the last 3 years. Oh gosh.
It has been what, two and a half years of transition?
Yeah, so he's helped me a lot as far as giving me a balance and understanding.
And COVID is, certainly throwing a wrench into
COVID
everything.
did.
I think there's been a lot of new normals.
New normals established with COVID. Yeah. And, through the COVID process, when we did a lot of working from home, you don't truly get to see the person because it's such a snapshot of the person's personality until you're in the, space with that person and you're sharing that space with that person and you're dealing with that person on a day-to-day.
Right.
I think there's something that I realize, you don't realize it until you see what happened or the effects of not dealing with someone face to face, socially, because it was 18 months, really. Yeah. So,
and what it reminds me of is how people can create personalities in different worlds online of who they are, and avoid the actualities of life.
Okay, so you're going deeper here, like online dating or something.
What I'm applying it to is the workforce, though, and the challenges that we're starting to see when you say, "Wait a minute, this person started out okay."
No. It's
when we were working 2 days a week, and I didn't have to deal with you. And even on our 2 to 3 meetings on virtual, we weren't face to face.
No,
and it's a different feeling when that person's in your face and in your space.
And I believe people just like it. And so why equate it to a relationship or when you're dating is because they tell you that people shows their representative. So COVID showed you in a professional setting how that's true too when you're working from home in teams, especially if you're hiring someone. We were interviewing people through Teams and then onboarding them through Teams and then doing work through Teams. And then you're thinking, And what I found is once they finish that probationary period, it's like, hey, something's not right here. And so you would miss it because that probation period goes so quickly and you're trying to train them. You're trying to do things.
Yeah. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Benefit of the doubt. But then.
And out of sight, out of mind is a true thing, I think.
And you're not
I think we're in the same mindset of the old guard when it comes to work. So that, I think for me, if I'm so busy some days, if you're not around for me to, let me catch this. It's just, you can get away with, okay. Did you do any work this week? Because,
right. What did we accomplish this week? That's what I say sometimes. I'm like, okay.
But there is a balance because, a lot of people like to socialize.
They do once they're here and you have to shut your door. And we've seen that.
A lot of FaceTime.
Yeah.
Since we've been back full time, I've been like, you know what? There's times when I just got to be intentional about, I'm not even going to look at my door. I'm going to close it.
Yeah. I have to turn my back and shut my door and say, I can't just, or you're not going to get any work done.
Right. Yeah.
Because now people do. And I think because most of us want to interact and engage and have conversations, but sometimes it can steer to be, if you're meeting 5 hours out of 8 hours.
Right.
How much work can you get done? Some of it is meaningful, but I think sometimes Teams and virtual meetings have gotten us where we're on meetings all day and we have to work longer hours to do our work.
Yeah. Well,
or to try to get it done. I know some people's like, well, you don't. I know I've heard people say, well, you just got to block it out and not. But if you're supposed to be in the meeting, you're just not going to show up.
right. Well, when I was full-fledged working from home during COVID, I was working 15 hours a day.
Yeah. I was in the
15, 16 hours a day easily, because I'd start my day really early and I'd be going all day. And then I'd find myself 8, 9 o'clock eating through, wife bringing my plate in the office.
Yeah, I
It's like 9
remember. And I don't know if you guys were still on doing the agenda. I remember on Fridays when the agendas were due at 4, we would still be going back and forth at 8 and 9 o'clock on Fridays, getting these agendas and briefings done.
Oh no.
Yeah, and this is when we're working from home during that period. And so when you start checking, I think they start checking it on Mondays or Sundays and Mondays. You're trying to get this in. Everything's, and some stuff I found that some people did a different schedule, because then you start hearing from them at 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm serious.
Well, yeah, that's what COVID did.
Yeah.
It allowed you to,
have
work,
flexibility,
start
but
your day at 11 a.m. and
but that's not good, because then you have deadlines, and it was really a challenge for our office during that period as well. But yeah, that's a good question. But you're right, liked and respected. Your work, your product speaks for itself.
It's a interesting. I used to want to be respected when I started, but I think that's because I didn't have anything to rest my laurels on. Right?
But now it's more so.
Now it's like, okay, I got my degrees. I'm every year I get a little bit more, time under my belt, and so that
you're
that's
vested,
just
right?
The process, not yet. No.
You're not vested yet.
About 16 months.
Countdown.
16 months or so.
Yeah.
But
that's important.
you've been working long enough to know, what the dynamics were when you first started out, as opposed to now. How you felt then?
More confident now. Makes a difference. In, like you said, your work product, that you work ethic. You're someone that's reliable, responsible. Someone sends you something, they know you're going to get it done, or they prefer to let you do it because they know it will get done.
Right.
And so that could be a blessing or a curse, because sometimes you and I have talked about it, where people looking for you, like, right. Where's Hector? Where's Hector? Where's Hector? And so.
But for you, I think your position, people need to you're in a position different than me, and I think your position warrants a level of respect. And I think for you, the likability is going to take care of the rest, if that makes sense.
Well, I think for so long I was more concerned about being liked. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
But I think, like you said, I've had to shift to understand I have to set boundaries. Just positioning that you guys kind of show me, positioning and where you sit.
Right.
In the office, and I just say, oh, it's not a big deal. Like, no, you need to move into the office you're supposed to be moving in. Something as simple as that is showing a level of respect.
Right.
Yeah. Right. And I didn't understand that when you guys were telling me. I was like, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. But it is, because then it's me taking the step toward, this is where I am. This is my position now.
Right. And having people, come at you and approach their work with a level of respect, commiserate with that position.
Exactly.
Yeah, as opposed to being able to be like,
She's still sitting in the same seat she's been sitting in for the last 10 years. So she didn't even understand that it's been a shift as well.
Right. Well, and sometimes you have to sit in the big seat. It's the way society, at least in my opinion, it's the way society's set up.
But I think it did help me to shift mentally too.
Yes.
When I shift physically,
it
helped me to shift mentally.
Yeah,
and I didn't think it was a big deal.
Be sitting in there? No, we gonna have to move.
I know. I know. When I got my promotion, Hector and Erica was like, "When are you gonna move?" I was like, "No big deal. No, everybody know what my new position is." And then they said, "No, you got to shift." And I was like, "No, it's not a big deal." But once. And they said they were going to come move me if I didn't do it myself. They said, we're going to move you.
We were. You beat us to it, I think. But.
And they gave me that weekend. And that weekend, me and Robert came up and we shifted. And I could feel the shift mentally. I could. And it was like, okay, this is important to shift to the next stage.
Can you imagine if you'd have stayed in your old office and doing all you dealt with already?
Yeah.
You know, the dynamic, you know.
I wouldn't know if, I already didn't know if I was coming or going. So I don't know what was going on then. And I was like, okay, who is the boss here?
And, you know, and I used to be like, oh, this is so arbitrary. I think there's the way we've set up our work structures. Mm-hmm. Somebody has to make that last decision. You know, because we can go around and around. You know, me being a lawyer, I can go around and around all day.
Right.
I can split hairs all day long.
Yeah.
The buck's got to stop with somebody
and be
to
willing.
move things along.
And it's a willingness to move into that space.
Right.
And so, yeah, no, I appreciate you and Erica and the push y'all gave me.
Very interesting question. I'm going to think about that some more then.
I know, and you know, and I think that it may change depending on where you are, you know, and what stage you are in your job and your relationship. So I think for me, it was like a transition stage.
That's true. Yeah, because I could see my next phase being more about me trying to reestablish the level of respect I want to garner. As opposed to getting folks to like me. So I could see that happening depending on what phase and stage you find yourself in. So I guess the takeaway for us is that you're not married to where you are now with your response. That may shift depending on where you are in your relationships, personally, and in your relationship and in your position professionally. Well, that's a whole nother podcast.
No. I agree.
Yeah, we need to have a whole.
I know. So it's been great talking to you. Definitely, this has been wonderful. I've been asking you for. Generally, we have great conversations all the time, and so when the estate planning came up, I knew that I wanted to get you here, but I had these other topics that I kind of want to talk to you about. So
yes, well, estate planning week this week. Please sit down, make a plan. You know, I promise if you do not make a plan, the state has one for you. So
thank you, Hector Falk, for stopping by. Life is Good with Tuda. See you guys later. Bye.